This time of year, impulses are something that really drive our behavior and that should be resisted. Sometimes whether it's an impulse to purchase something that you don't need because you're out shopping for Christmas presents, or whether it's an impulse to respond to someone in a negative way just because they irked you or because you're in close, tight quarters with a large family or whatever the case may be. In the Bible, in Acts chapter 26, the Bible acknowledges that it is difficult to overcome the impulses that drive you, but there is something that you can do to make sure that you overcome the impulses and they don't overcome you. And today, I'm going to show you how. I'm Brock Carlisle, a pastor and a licensed counselor, and this is Whiteboard Wednesday. Before we can understand how to overcome an impulse, we need to understand where an impulse comes from. The definition of impulse is a reaction that causes us to act in a certain way and that is triggered by emotion. So the two key words there are that it's a reaction, meaning that we can choose to react some different way, and that the reaction is triggered by emotion. So how your brain works is you have the right side of your brain and the left side of your brain. Your brain's divided into two halves. The right side of your brain controls all emotion. It's where your pleasure center is. It's if you know you like something or if you don't like something. When you're doing anything artistic or creative, that's a right brain function. The left brain controls logic. This is where math and science happen. It's where memory recall takes place. It's where problem solving takes place. Now, we're actually not able to use both sides of our brain at the same time, with the exception of motion. So what we do is we live in a center region where our brains can fire back and forth at a very high rate so that it's like using both sides when you're not. What your brain is looking for is a decision that makes you feel the best about your course of action and that makes the most sense both for you and for everyone else around you. This is the decision that we all want to make. But since an impulse is triggered by emotion, what that means is that when we see something or that when someone says something to us that frustrates us, when we get a high level of emotion, that instead of being in the center where we can use both sides of our brain, this box slides way one direction to where now we can't use both sides of our brain. We start off in emotion and we end up still in emotion. And this one side of our brain is now making a decision that later when we look back on, we will acknowledge makes no sense. And it doesn't make any sense because the logic portion of our brain was not active in the decision. This is how we can impulsively make a decision that will later we wish that we wouldn't have made. So there's really only one option as far as how we overcome this, and it's by asking one simple question. Now I say it's a simple question because the question is simple, but the implementation of the answer to the question, that's where we find the difficulty. The thing to do is when you're looking at a decision and you know that there's some impulse involved, but you're not sure if you should just go ahead and do it or if you shouldn't go ahead and do it, what you should do is you should look at the outcome of each decision. If I act in emotion, if I say the things I want to say, if I buy the things spontaneously that I want to buy, if I act in emotion, what is the potential outcome that will give me? Or if I act in logic and I reason through everything, what is the potential outcome that this decision will give me? When you can look at the outcome, then it makes the decision simple, because all you have to do is find the most desirable outcome and choose the action that gives you the most desirable outcome. By following that simple step and asking yourself that simple question of which decision gives me the best outcome, then you can make sure that you overcome impulses and that impulses don't overcome you.